I might just leave it natural. Have no intro.
So
Don't sit like that.
Right.
We're not. It is not that kind of podcast.
It's not. I fidget a lot, so it's like I stop.
There's a guy in The Apprentice that he's like photos like this.
Oh yeah.
Sitting there, and he had to release a statement being like, "I'm not part of the Illuminati."
I won't do.
If you
that.
want to, we can turn the lights red.
It's just to stop.
We can do a whole theme if you
I
want.
fidget a lot, so that's why if I do that, it doesn't move.
I think that's also a touching base on back on the challenges as well. As someone creative, you might spend a lot of time making.
I did it
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yes.
I keep doing this thing in my hand.
No, I'll join you.
It's
So
because I'm trying not to fidget. I've been pulling my ring off.
no, do it. I'll join you. So you feel
No,
less
no,
comfortable.
no,
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 I'll just do
I'm
my
not
own.
doing
Then.
it again.
Um,
Why is it called Big Stepper? I can't remember if it's because
it's a big step into a new genre.
Yeah, it's definitely why. That was a dad joke, mate. That was a fat dad
That's gonna be
joke.
the intro clip.
Nice.
I got one. Got one. Got it.
Yeah, see what I'm doing for you, mate. Content.
Oh, okay. I think we're on. Are we on? We're on. I think so. Welcome to the very first episode of the Freaks and Weirdos podcast. I want to get a round of applause.
Well done. Well done.
Round of applause.
Well done.
So I thought the best guest to have for my very first episode here would be my good friend. I would say lifelong friend. I've known you my whole life, but we've only recently been friends. So it's been one of those situations, and no one other than Mr. Ethan Michaels, aka Andreas. So I want to get another round of applause for everyone. It's very exciting. I finally did it. So first of all, I just wanted to ask, with your music and everything, where did the name Andreas come from? Because I was trying to figure that out on my own. I thought it was like an anagram for Ethan, but it's not. So I wanted to know where did that come from.
So, basically, my middle name is I got two. So it's Ethan Andreas John Michaels.
Oh, okay.
John is my mum's dad, and Andreas is my dad's dad.
Yeah. So you took the Greek side, right?
So yeah, it's a real name. Obviously, it's part of my government name, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's technically Andre. Not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Greek translation or something like that.
But it's pronounced Andreas for music.
It's the So it's the Greek way of saying it. Apparently, that's what my parents told me. But yeah, so it's basically a tribute to my granddad.
Right.
We used to go over to Cyprus a lot.
Yeah.
And then obviously, one day, what was the story? He had I think they had like a heart attack in the middle of the night. And
oh, okay.
yeah, sorry to go like straight into it.
No, we're going straight in.
Might as well just yeah. So
that's all right.
Long story short, we see each other a lot. Obviously, it was close, and then he passed away. So it's just a tribute to him, basically.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Well, is that the reason why you chose it? Just were you close with him? That's why you chose that.
It wasn't necessarily because we were close, but it was a way of paying tribute to remember him.
Yeah.
Apparently as well, it's the Greek tradition, something like to call or name the son after the dad or the dad's dad, something like that. But my mum, being English, she was like, no, we're not doing that.
Okay.
So obviously I'm Ethan is my first name.
Yeah.
But then she was like, cool, we'll do the middle names, Andreas and John, after both of the dads.
Was Andreas the first stage name you came up with, or did you have some embarrassing ones before? Because we all have. It
was pretty much, yeah.
Okay. So you're.
I played around with a few ideas. I changed it a few times.
Any ones that you're embarrassed about?
Well, not necessarily embarrassed. I remember at one point I changed my Instagram handle to Andreas Nasty, and it was I know, right?
Okay.
It was like because of I used to like Big Nasty.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I used to watch Uncle Payne,
Yeah.
was it £5 Munch, stuff like that, and then
Okay, cool.
I used to listen to Rico Nasty as well.
So all the Nasties.
Yeah, so it was like that. I kept it for like a week and then changed it.
Just to Andreas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Calm, yeah, no worries. Obviously, I wanted to know. I mean, as much as I've known you, for how long now? How long have we actually been? Should we talk about that? I mean, we're going a bit off script, but how we actually met? Because I've known you. We've pretty much known each other our whole lives, right? Because we went to high school together.
Yeah.
And I'm the year above you, but we never really spoke until I think it was lockdown, right?
Yes, it was. So, obviously, if you know me from music, I'm co-founder of an events brand called Modern Function.
Mm-hmm.
We started, well, shortly after we started, it was during the lockdown periods, or the many different lockdown COVID periods. And we started doing charity live streams. Obviously, I invited you down because you started doing the posters.
Yeah, that was quite fun actually. Yeah, I might pop a few now, like pop some for you on the screen just so you can see it.
Well, they were more and it was animated rather than stills, but you did do a few cool.
Yeah,
stills.
yeah. I think it was just at the time. I don't know why, because a lot of them are arcade based, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to be like meddled around with some arcade games styles. I'll put some on the screen now, but some arcade styles. We tried different. So we done Pac-Man. I think we did
Mortal Kombat. There was Tron. I think the one that I was on was Tron.
I remember that. Yeah, I actually forgot about that until you brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I still have them, I'm gonna put them on the screen because that was actually a lot of fun.
They were so good.
Yeah.
I remember. I remember when we were like trying to find, because we were changing the branding around because we had some stuff. It was kind of cool, but it wasn't serious. And we needed something new. So that was in the that transitional period of just experimenting with stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I think at that time as well, everyone had so much free time on their hands. I think that's why I was meddling around with that, because I've never really done that before. And to kind of bring that into a music scene, an almost underground kind of music scene, was quite cool, because I don't think anyone's really done that before. At least I haven't seen any mess around with that arcade style with that. So it's a really cool kind of like
it was
mesh.
I think it was just as well for the time that we were. I think we've only been like a couple months old as a brand, so we really did have that time to mess around with like the branding and figure out ourselves out, especially through COVID. Kind of gave us that chance of we had more time and we could do more, even though things were limited. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like if we, for example, when we did a couple events, it was sit down. So
I remember that.
We were able to work in maybe I don't want to say massive spaces, but bigger spaces with a smaller like capacity, and it worked to our favour.
Yeah, I do remember those sit down events. That was really weird, but still really fun.
Yeah,
because it was still a good vibe. Everyone was still like having fun, but we just couldn't stand up. That was really strange. But I want you to take us back from before Modern Function, before the shows, before anything. Well, when did this all begin for you? Music as a whole. When did that come into your life, and when did it kind of take you down a personal route, if that makes sense?
Yeah, sure. So I've always loved music. But I'll say something first, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you. Well, you get people that are really deep, like lyrics and stuff. And then there's some people, they're just listening to music. They're not actually taking it in.
Okay, yeah.
I was the same as that. And then I think, it was J. Cole, Wet Dreams.
Okay.
I was listening in the car one day.
That's
I know,
but
it was one of those, like, the lyrics it's not necessarily like a deep story, but it was
clever.
Yeah, it was
It's
just
really
a clever
clever.
wordplay, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'll just deep the lyrics, not that deep meaning, but
yeah.
I was like, oh, right. And that's it would kind of switch something. I was like, I should start actually listening to the stories
paying
that people.
attention. Yeah, right.
So it's little things like that. Obviously going over to Cyprus a lot when I was younger. You get a lot of house music out there.
Okay.
So I was listening to. I wouldn't be able to give you specific songs, but I was listening to a lot of house music because of that. My dad was a DJ out in Cyprus.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so that was one of the reasons I was like, I want to actually follow in his footsteps, if you will.
Right, and then when did it first kind of become not an obsession, but kind of an interest where you're like, I want to start doing my own? When was the first time you kind of started making your music, or first time you kind of, all right, I'm going to save up money and buy a DJ deck and actually take this seriously and I could see something in this? When was that kind of, and how did that begin?
It's happened in like multiple instances. It wasn't necessarily that kind of moment. The first time where I was like, I wanted to learn how to DJ. Where was it? We were in Selfridges, and this guy was like demoing. It was called the WeGo 3. It was a Pioneer controller.
Okay.
And it was, you could plug your iPad into it.
Oh, okay.
And at the time, the software that they used was called Algorithm. You could put a Spotify link to it as well. So I remember seeing that. Obviously, the guy showed me how to do it. It was like, come over. I can't remember how old I was. It was like, come over, like, I'll teach you. And I thought, this is really easy, accessible. I liked it. I think I probably said I wanted it, or maybe for my birthday or something. And then my dad got it for me. So that was like the first deck I had and my first instance of playing at home. And then my friend Robbie Gillard, he's a like live sound engineer. He's touring, like, I think he's done some WWE events. Where else has he done? I think he's been in Saudi. He's doing loads of stuff now. But he was DJing for like little parties, like 6-1 parties, stuff like that. And he was like, "Why don't you come with me?" So that was like my first instance of being in those environments. And then my first ever gig was. Do you know the barber club in town?
No.
It's barbers, and then they did an event basically.
Okay.
And my friend Connor Lee, do you know Connor?
Mate,
You
I'm
probably- it's one of
really
those
bad
things
with
where-
names, but if I
yeah.
saw the face, yeah.
You probably, yeah. It's one of those, you know people. It's a small town. We went to Beavers together, and so I'd known him for years, and he started rapping. And he was like, "Oh, I need a DJ," because he knew that I was interested in it.
Yeah.
Then I did a small opening set there, DJ'd for him. Then that was like my first proper, I guess, gig. And even like I had a lot of friends coming, and he would say they would say like, "Oh, this is what you should do." So I think I was still practicing in my bedroom, doing a lot of that, and
It just kind of snowballed.
yeah, and I went sixth form, and I wasn't really happy with what I was doing, because there's a lot of people our age that are doing stuff like that, where they're in college or whatever, and it's more of just because you have to be. And so
Right.
I was like, what do I want to do? What am I passionate about? Music.
Yeah.
And then so I dropped out of sixth form, and then I went and studied music tech at
Okay,
Bedford College.
Yeah. I think I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I went into that really with limited DJing, no music production experience, and yeah, it was hard at first just because I when I say DJing, it was very, even that gig, it was like pushing a button. I used to call myself like a professional button presser.
So you're playing the stereotype of DJ just pressing buttons and just be like, yeah, cool.
I say that more like professional press play.
Yeah.
That was what it was at the time. It was very.
We'll start somewhere, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I'm like downplaying it, but that was what it was, and that is what it is for most people starting out.
Yeah.
But so I went there and I met some good friends. We really got along. It was I'll shout him out. It was Charlie Bishop. He was a rapper. Kai Garrison, really talented producer. He goes by Hide Your Face. He was this guy. He was always like, people, the teacher's asking questions, no one's answering. It's Kai that's always answering. He was that type of guy.
All right. Okay.
Do you know where they're like, can someone else answer the question? Because he's answered
he's
the
the only one.
past.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And they taught me a lot about like Kai helped a lot with production. Charlie gave me, that was my second gig at Esquires.
Mm-hmm.
He was rapping, and then again because of that I was able to get a small like 15-minute set, and yeah, and then it was recorded. It's somewhere on YouTube, and I remember I was just like, this is an opportunity. It's not. I'm not DJing on a massive stage or anything, but I've got a small crowd. I'm just gonna go for it. And I was more of a hype man, if you will.
Okay.
Like I watch it back and I laugh a little bit, but I had my Charlie Sloth effects, like the explosions.
Yeah. The perfect.
Yeah.
I
I'm pretty sure that's in there.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just it was like that, but it was a chance for me to kind of get exposed to a different crowd. Because, I'd seen a clip of... Do you remember PG Media?
No.
Do you remember Little T and
Yes!
So you understand
Yes.
what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
Noisy did a documentary or like a small video where they went down, and was it a guy called Afghan Dan?
Oh, that rings a bell, but I'll see your face and I'll know.
I think it was
But-
Poet that was doing it. He got Wiley on the phone, and he was saying to Afghan Dan, you need to be big. I think it's said along the lines of, you need to be big where you are, or at least get the support. Because if you're going to be bigger everywhere else, if you want to be seen everywhere else, you need the support for where you're from.
Right, okay, yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, I've obviously did that one gig at home. I'm starting to get my name around. I'm going to the next town, Bedford. You know, it's Bedfordshire. It's that whole community.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, this is my chance for me to grow my name a little bit, get exposed to a new audience. So even though maybe it wasn't like technical DJing, and like I said, I was more of a hype man, I was still like, I'm just going to put my energy into this. And I did. And it was, I think it was the best performance of the night. Not because of what I was doing. Obviously,
Yeah.
Charlie, but it was amazing. But a few of the artists who, again, never met me before, how I might have been 17 or 18, they came up and they were like, that was a really good set. But I was like, they were like, you smashed it. And I remember thinking, I was happy because people that I'd never met before, and it's something you realise in music as well, people you never met before, they will give you your props. Obviously, if you've done a good job. Which it's a funny like thing with music. Everyone, or at least most of the people that I've met, are they're complimentary, and they will let you know that you've done well, not in like a fake way. It is very much like everyone's happy to see each other doing well, even if you've never met someone before.
Yeah.
Like even on, I think, like TikTok, for example, when I was putting like a few tracks up, like someone comments, I've never spoke to them before. Next thing you know, you're in the DMs, you're chatting to each other, you're sending each other music.
And then you
meet
build a
them
community,
and
right? You build relationships. That's what it's all about.
yeah. So yeah. Obviously Bedford College had that performance. I don't think we did another gig, but I was able to get into Point Blank, which is a music school. I got it was they called it a producer scholarship. So it wasn't like a full coverage, but it was for me to get something like that where I'd never really been good at anything before, and then I get a quote unquote scholarship. I was like, okay, I'm actually on the right track here. So Bedford and Luton, those small gigs had helped me like understand a bit, be in front of get used to a live crowd, and those years were where I was really able to just not hone my craft, but get gritty and understand the industry a bit more.
Of all the shows that you've done, kind of ranging from those smaller home shows all the way over to, you know, where you are now, where you're playing with Modern Function and the bigger events with, you know, bigger names, I wanted to know if there was at least one funny story. Like surely at one of these shows there should be one memory that kind of stands out.
It depends on what I can say.
It's your image, mate.
Yeah.
It's all for you. Like, go up for it.
It's not necessarily. I've seen some funny things, man. What type of story do you want? Like
One that you feel
weird,
comfortable
funny?
sharing.
Yeah,
I'll leave it in your hands, mate.
Oh man, honestly, there's so many. Give me a minute.
Take your time.
I don't know if necessarily. Actually, I do remember something funny. It's not. It's probably not even that funny to you, but my mate Phil was playing. I can't remember what the venue was, but it was a massive crowd. There was easily a couple hundred people in the room, and he was just like, "I'm just gonna do something so stupid." He just grabbed the mic while the song was playing, and he just shouted the name of the venue. He was like, "Make some noise!" The whole crowd was silent, and I've got a video. I might send it to you if I can
If
find
he's okay with that.
Again, it's not like a like crazy story,
but
but
in the moment,
it was
I can
just so
imagine
fun
it.
because I think he actually thought he was going to get a reaction from the crowd. It was dead silent, mate.
That's like someone's
And
worst
then
nightmare as well. Like
me
when
and
you
him
put
were
on the show,
just
right?
me and him were just cracking up behind, like we hid behind the decks for a minute because it was so funny.
Yeah.
I can't think of a specific memory, but other than that. But like I said, the way people are really nice, and from my experience through music, you create these relationships with people that you probably would never have met before because of like the internet, because of TikTok, and obviously being in the industry, you'll see people, you know, you might be on the same lineup with someone and you're like, oh, this person's there, I'm looking forward to see them, and then you just have a funny good time, and you might not have done something crazy embarrassing or like a weird story to tell,
Right.
but you might 9 times out of 10 have a good time, and it's not because you've gone and done something crazy. You've met someone new.
Good people.
Through music, it's a pure relationship. Yeah, and
it's mutual. You can tell. And especially, I think that's really interesting as well to bring up, like, when you're in a creative industry. Careful with the popping, by the way.
Sorry.
When you're in the industry, like, there are a lot of people that will try and undercut you or see you as a leverage rather than just as a person to kind of collaborate with.
Yeah.
And one of my questions, I mean, was going to be, you know, during your journey so far, it's easy to kind of look at the highlights, but I kind of want to, if you're okay with it, shed on some challenges.
Sure,
you know, I think it's something that's important and that needs to be mentioned more, especially online, social media. You see people doing really well, and you're kind of questioning yourself, like, well, you know, sometimes you feel like you're an alien because you might have some struggles that kind of interfere with your craft, right? So I just want to ask, in your journey so far, what kind of challenges you might have faced. Doesn't have to be anything too deep, but just things that people might be able to relate to.
Well, something that I'm pretty sure is like a widely known thing in music is imposter syndrome.
Okay.
I think, to be honest, I'd say in any creative, because even like I'll link back to TikTok, where you might have no followers and then you put like a clip of unreleased tune, it blows up, and you do sometimes think, it's weird how it works, like you should really give yourself more credit, but you do sometimes think, oh, do I deserve this? Was it that good? I don't know. And then it will link to like you trying to release stuff in the future, and it's the same. Do I release it? Don't I? I don't think, you know, do I deserve this? That's something that is, I think, multiple people in the industry will tell you.
Of course, yeah. I think people underplay their talent or their vision in a way. You know, whatever kind of creative industry you're in, if you're an actor, or if you're a writer, if you're a music producer or a photographer, you think that what you're making is cool, but you might not think other people might relate, and then you might put it up there and it might not get the reception you want, and then you downplay yourself. I think that's an interesting point to make, to be fair, the whole imposter syndrome. But I also just wanted to ask as well, when it came to the genres that you make, I've noticed that you specialize in a lot of house and garage kind of cadences and tempos and music. I wanted to know where and why specifically those genres, and how that kind of impacted and came into your life, and what you like about them so much, and to the point where you want to make it and showcase it to other people and be involved in that community.
Yeah. So I guess I did produce a little bit of house back in the day, but it was never anything I released or anything. I think house and that, like I said, it came from going overseas to like Cyprus, where those genres are big. Obviously, growing up in the UK, garage, I always loved garage. Right. But I never necessarily thought I was going to go down the whole production route with it. Because even when I was even in the early days of DJing, I didn't necessarily have like I wanted to be this type of DJ. When I was doing like when I was like in Bedford and doing that, I was doing a lot of like, I liked mixing grime instrumentals.
Okay, yeah.
Something about the way they're produced, I loved is it Woo Rhythm? Do you know DWE? That's like one of my favorite.
Probably if you play it,
you will know it. You know it. That's one of my favorite ones.
I guess also with like a lot of grime music and hip hop in general, or a lot of rap is raw.
Yeah,
right? When it came from grime's raw, like it comes from people, like it comes from a real place with real people, and it was a real struggle to get that noticed on the scene because it tried to get undercut a lot. So I think that is really interesting as well. And do you feel that there's a kind of relationship with grime and garage in a way, or is it,
the progression? Obviously, garage came before grime.
Yeah,
like when you say garage to a lot of people that aren't in our scene, you think of like 21 Seconds, Craig David, like
Yeah.
Flowers, that type of garage, and that was like at least to my understanding, that's the precursor to a lot of genres UK based like grime. So I think it's without like intentionally having that progression in my own career. Like I've actually almost done a bit of a reverse and gone from grime instrumentals and stuff like that to garage. So yeah, I liked it. Obviously, like the OG garage, like what we were saying, and then who was it? At university, I met a good friend called Will. Or he went by K9, but goes by Bill Bond now.
Mm-hmm. Crazy guy.
Crazy guy, yeah.
Crazy guy.
Lovely guy though,
remember
heart
him.
of gold. And he made kind of like it's called New KG, which is like a subgenre of garage. He released on it's Garage Shared. Yeah, that's a garage label, obviously. And yeah, so I got to know him, and then I was like, oh, I kind of like this. I didn't know if I wanted to go down that New KG route, but I liked the sounds that were coming out of it. And through exploring that, and obviously the position where we were doing the events and stuff, I've met people like Jemmy, Oppadan, and it was cool to see this new side of music that, unless you were kind of, at least from my perspective, unless you were in that industry or that community, it wasn't. I don't think it was known on the mainstream, other than maybe like Sammy Virgie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being exposed to that, I kind of got to explore the subgenres of garage, or not subgenres, but the other areas like speed garage, for example. And I just kind of kept going deeper into it, and at the same time, you had people like Interplanetary Criminal start blowing up, and Dr. Dubplate. There was a clip of what was it? The Cause that we did the live streams at the Keep Ashton event, and they played. There's a clip of Dr. Dubplate back to back Interplanetary Criminal, and they played Rhythm. It was a Rhythm and Gash edit by PJ Bridger, and the crowd just goes crazy. I remember seeing that, and I was thinking, this is like the way that garage has kind of made this revival, and you see it in this clip, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. This is the kind of sound and direction I want to go in. So yeah, it was a mixture of seeing stuff like on TikTok, which is probably a lot of people now, especially with DJs getting into it in production. It was seeing stuff like that, having that first-hand experience doing the events, because we did obviously dabble with the garage, and eventually I did the sub-brand in Modern Function.
Yeah.
And so I was able to explore different avenues of doing the events, meeting people like Will, like Jemmy, and then started doing my own stuff. And like I say, it was just a combination of all those things.
And are there any other ventures? Sorry, are there any other genres that you want to venture into? Anything that you're kind of sniffing at the moment? You're like, oh, I kind of like that. I kind of want to see what's like.
Yeah. So I have. I mean, right now I've kind of put a pause on the music thing just because of I have tinnitus. Mm-hmm. It's actually Tinnitus Awareness Week. So I mean, when this comes out, I don't know. It'll be long by, but
still, it's worth
mentioning.
Yeah.
So I had that before I started DJing. Probably wasn't a good idea, but I've just loved music so much. I was like, I'll put the precautions and try and ride the wave and see how it goes. So yeah, it's got to the point where I think I need to pause on it. But the last things that I was getting into, obviously, was still doing like speed garage, doing footwork, which is another type of I don't want to say drum and bass, but it's in that like
tempo.
It's in that 160 like BPM range. I call it like it's in that universe, if you will.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have released 2 tunes on Motive Hunter, and they're both footwork tunes. They're probably 2 tunes that I was actually proud of because they're original tunes, and it's something different. Like I never thought I would have gone to that type of genre or subgenre with the music that I was listening to, because I never really grew up listening to a lot of like jungle or garage or not garage, drum and bass. So yeah, it was cool to experiment with something different, something that's out of my realm, and which actually came quite naturally.
And I was going to touch on a few of your songs in a second and go down some of your favourite songs and how that kind of came about. But you mentioned when you're playing, when you saw the videos of people at garage events and seeing how people reacted, what's it like being in the room and playing songs and seeing people react to the songs that you play and people dancing together and having, like, what's that like being on the other end and being responsible for that?
Oh, it's amazing.
Connection?
Oh, honestly, part of the reason why I was decided that this was the career I wanted to do was I was at Wireless, it was one of my first festivals, and
Same.
yeah, and was it the first year I did back-to-back events, 2018, 2019,
Same.
and nice.
Yeah.
It was the Sunday I was supposed to go with someone, and I did the whole weekend, and I was supposed to go with someone, but I didn't, or they couldn't come, so I was like, I'm just gonna go on my own. I bought the money. I'm not gonna. I think Ski Mask Slump God was playing. I was a big fan of him, so I was like, yeah, I want to see.
I might have been in the same mosh pit as you.
Probably, but I was so like diehard to the point where I was like, I'm getting there as early as I can. I was at the front of the queue. Like, I'm talking like I was the first person lining up, and I ran. I was even you know when you try and run at festivals and like the security like stop, they try and catch you. I was like, no, I'm making it. I got to the front of the barricade. I had to hold it in the whole day, you know.
Yeah, once you're there, you can't leave. You have to. Yeah, you've got to be there the whole time. Yeah.
And I can't remember who was playing. It might have been Uzi maybe. And
Uzi.
Yeah,
it's my favorite. Uzi's my favorite. I love him. Yeah.
I think it was the crowd control and the way that they kind of they are just controlling this crowd and the energy they were putting out. And I do remember just thinking, this is what I want to do.
Yeah,
because it's something about the energy that you get from a live crowd is I was feeding off of that. I was like, I know I'm gonna do this. Don't know how far I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
So it's the reaction you get when you play a banger. You know, you do a good blend or
rewind.
And you get a reload.
Reload it. Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of the best feelings. I remember as you were asking about like memories and that. It was when the Cause obviously they shut down that Ashley Road venue and they had like a temporary venue in Hackney Wick, and Phil, my friend, who's another co-founder of Modern Function, he was doing like a couple like 3-4 hours in one of their rooms. It was room 2. They had this whole lineup. I don't remember what it was, but it was like, bring your USB, mate. I'm on for quite a while. Like, we would jump on, do a back-to-back, and it was this small, like, office room, like, you know, you see the roofs, there's, like, they're not tiles, but it's the grid roof.
Yeah, right.
Like, this is what I love about what the Cause have done. They've done it in every venue. It's not meant to be a venue, but they make it a venue.
Yeah.
It was an office, and it was a room 2, and, like, we was, I mean, still small names, I jump on. He's already got the room like pumping, and then I jump on. We were doing a back-to-back, and it was not planned or anything. And no one was in the main room. Well, I say no one. Like, there was a few people in the main room. They'd all come crammed into this small office. That's now room 2. It was like sweating. You know when you see like condensations dripping.
Yeah.
It was like that, and. Yeah, I was playing. I think we always try and say like you've got to play a curveball tune, right? And I had this edit of the Cha Cha Slide and Pulse X, which is a grime instrumental.
Okay.
And I wasn't gonna play it because I think I'd got to like the kind of end of my portion of the set, and I'd handed back over, and I was like, I really want to play that tune. I said, Phil, I was like, can I just play this one tune? And it's on my Instagram, so I'll send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and he goes, yeah, go on. I was like, look, I'm not meant to be here. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna play one.
Yeah, just have some fun.
And like, it could have gone left because like, Cha Cha Slide, Pulse X doesn't sound right. But I remember that Phil's looking at me as I'm mixing it in. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, just trust in the process. And then I played it, and then the crowd, like, they just went mental. It was like, they all started doing the cha-cha slide. Like, you do not, when do you see people at a rave, like, a proper, like, it's garage, it's, you know what I mean? You just don't see that. And it was a funny moment to see. I'm telling you, everyone in the room, there wasn't one person that wasn't doing it. I'm creasing. I was like, you know, I've done my job.
Yeah, all right. Cool.
It went well. It went well. I was leaving.
Thanks for having me, mate. Yeah.
But yeah, it's reactions like that where, you know, they're all joining in. Everyone's like synchronized. That's what like makes it worth it.
I wanted to touch base now into your production side of your musicness. Of the songs that you've kind of created from the beginning to where you are now, is there a song that you... I know it's very, very difficult for creative people, where they have a favourite piece that they make. Sometimes people say they love them all. Sometimes people say that they just kind of go with the flow of them all. But is there a song that you have that's a favourite, or someone that
I've made?
Yeah. Something that, or maybe not a 100% favourite, but you've got kind of a soft side to it. Like, that will always be one of my favourite songs because of this memory or anything like that. A song you're proud of?
I'd say the footwork stuff I'm probably the proudest of, because those are like original tunes, and I think it is big for when, especially you see it in or like, again, we'll go back to like TikTok and stuff. There's a lot of like garage edits and stuff, which that is the skill level that has gone from people making like a shitty remix to like this whole wave of DJs coming up through not with original productions but generally really well crafted remixes and edits of well-known tunes. So those are fun, but I think being able to make your own tune and say that's mine is special, yeah. So the footwork tracks that I did, they're probably my favorite in terms of skill and effort.
Do you want to say what they're called?
Yeah, one's called Everybody and the other one's called Big Stepper.
Okay, yeah.
Why is it called Big Stepper?
I was going to ask, where did these names come from? That was going to be my next question. Where do these names, do they come from lyric samples that you take and then you're know, okay, cool, that I'm just going to take it from there, or is it just, fuck it, I'm just calling it Big Stepper?
Why is it called? Everybody's called Everybody because the vocal sample, I just chopped it up. It's like Everybody Dance to the Rhythm or something, but it's just everybody chopped up and then to the rhythm, but the main part is Everybody. Why is it called Big Stepper? I can't remember if it's because
it's a big step into a new genre.
Yeah, it's definitely why. That was a dad joke, mate. That was a fat dad
That's going to
joke.
be the intro clip.
Nice.
I got one. Go on. Got it.
Yeah, see what I'm doing for you, mate. Consent.
Thank you.
I can't remember if it's to do with the vocal sample. I think maybe it was like I always try and have like not a backstory. I'm not writing something like mythology behind my tunes, but I think it was. I think I said I imagined people like this is like a tune you skank to.
Okay, cool.
And then, so we were like me and Jake, who owns and runs Motive Hunter. We were like toying with the idea, and then it was like I think it might have been called like an early version was like Big Skanker or Skanker or something like that, and then like changed a couple words here and there. Might have been Fresh Stepper, no, Big Stepper, and then we were like, yeah, I rate that. And then so the cover art is like it's like a Nike shoe or something. I think that's actually what I think that that's how I imagined it in my mind. I was like, I imagine people like someone wearing like a TN or something skanking.
Right.
And then yeah, so that's how that one came along those lines. Yeah, those are my favourite ones. I say a soft side to it, like a song that it's not necessarily because it's the best like production, but was I made one called Homage to DK, which is Donkey Kong.
Right. Okay.
And it's another like we're talking about the edits and stuff. It was an edit of I don't know if you've seen on TikTok the like nostalgia ones, the videos.
Don't think so.
look at it would just be if you type in like nostalgia, UK nostalgia, this song plays in the background.
Okay.
And at the same time I heard that, there was this song, it was unreleased at the time, by Mulgrab and Flancy, and he played it on his Mulgrab played it on his Mix Mag set. It was the first song, and I was obsessed with this song. It didn't come out for a year, and I would go onto the Mix Mag, Mulgrab's Mix Mag video, and I would just play like the first 3 minutes. So, and I remember thinking, this song there's elements in my mind that it sounds like that, because it's got this vocal in it. It's kind of like video gamey.
Okay, cool, right.
And I was like, okay, well, this is the Donkey Kong tunes, video game one. Okay, I'm just gonna try and make something out of it. I didn't have like a genre in mind, although you could kind of say there's like a techno-y maybe influence, like lo-fi techno from Mulgrab. So I just thought about it, chopped it up, type of thing, like just messed around with it in the structure, and then developed it to where it was like it's a homage to Donkey Kong track. It's a homage to Mulgrab and Flancy, and then I made it into like a TikTok, and I explained in a short time how it's how I made it, and compared it to that track with the elements, like a bell, for example. I think that it sounded like. And then so I posted that on TikTok, and it didn't do massive numbers, but it was like, I think it got 6k views or something, which was
That's decent though. I'm not gonna lie.
It was the biggest one that I'd got at that point.
Yeah.
And even where like Flancy saw it, I don't think I tagged him. He just it might have been on like hashtags or something that I'd put on SoundCloud, and then I went on my analytics and I saw that he'd played it and liked it, and
oh, cool, yeah.
So I took a screenshot, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, a lot of people had like been supporting the track anyway, and then I saw it. I just put it on my story, and then he saw it, and then we spoke, and he was like, mate, I've been playing the track every day.
That's
and it was
cool. Man.
Yeah, it was cool. So it's like, I wouldn't say it's the most. It's not the most technical production. I try and keep my production very simple
but effective. As a reason, you know.
Don't get me wrong, that you can do some really, really like in-depth production and have layers and layers. Like, there's way more that you could do that I don't do. But I always try and keep it simple. And now that track is just a simple track, but I love it because of, like, I think there was a wholesome like creation behind it.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see where it went. Yeah.
I think a lot of genres have kind of the simple but effective side, but then as it gets popularized and as it goes through the motions of different subgenres or stories and different producers jump on, it goes through a journey and becomes more in depth. Like, for example, one of my favorite genres that I grew up on was it's cringe to say now, but I loved dubstep as a kid. Like, loved it.
Right, it's not cringe.
But
140's like, it's so linked to stuff like garage, and even look at Skrillex and Fred Again and Fortet. Like, they're playing 140 in their sets. So
yeah.
I don't think it's cringe at all.
But when dubstep began, it was very simple. It was very dark, ominous, and simple. Just a bass line, kick, drums, snares, and some dark atmosphere. Like, it was very simple but effective. Like, you felt it, and you were like, oh, you know, it was different.
Yeah.
And then it went through a whole new motion of
like
different.
Like American use.
And then I mean, I guess that's when Skrillex came around, and I love him. Like, he's my biggest inspiration.
Yeah, of course,
to this day.
Bangarang.
And then it went through the motions and become way more technical. Even, you know, but that's where I know more about that side with garage and house and stuff. It's still something that I don't know much about. But I'm just gonna shout out producer just for the fuck of it. But I love recently. I say recently, over the last few months, I saw him live. I love Chris Dussy, and to me, his production's very technical for me. Like, I hear it. And it's got layers to it, the vocal edits, even the drums, there's like stuff going on. Like, maybe that's just tech house. There's a lot of
like those groovy drums.
I just think it's sick.
Yeah.
He has some cool like effects on the synths. It's all kind of like moody, but like I can't remember the name of the house. I think it's Playground. I can't remember. Playground. Fuck, I'm gonna bring it up.
Sure, but
but it's one of my favorite songs when I saw him live. It's just like, you know, it's great. But I also wanted to ask about your kind of journey when you make music as well. Just quickly, is it different? Is each song different? Do you have a vision in mind with each song, or is it kind of free free when you know free flowing. I know it can be different each
I
time,
think
but
everyone's probably got their structure to how you make a song. I know in college, like we were taught you start with like a 4-bar loop. They called it like the boiling pot method, and you would like it's still you keep your 4-bar loop, and you can just keep adding your drums, and you might make a melody, and then you might make a different one. You can mute a certain part of the track, and then this sounds better than that. It honestly depends, because there isn't a straight you can have a format, and I think everyone does have their way of doing it. I know like okay, this is how I'm gonna roll into it, but it doesn't always go the same. And I think that is just like the beauty of music is you can't be perfect at it. There isn't a straightforward route. Although there's tutorials and stuff which are going to teach you how to get your bearings.
The foundation, the basic.
You get your you get your foundations.
Yeah.
People can go to college or watch TikTok or YouTube. But I think after you get past that stage, it does kind of go. It just goes into a spiral of, you go down a rabbit hole. You might be up until 2 a.m. Taking bits out. You might scrap the track.
It never ends.
There's so many times I've made. I think in September I made like just a 4-track EP. I had this whole, even like had like a narrative to it where it's like the idea is it's like humans coming from Earth trying to find a new planet, and it's because the first track is they call it like PlayStation Jungle.
Right. Yeah.
Probably you might have seen it.
I love that. Like it's like very old school kind of ethereal sounding.
I
love that.
It's like aesthetic. I think is like it's got a whole aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the sound has an aesthetic. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
I absolutely love that. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I built off that idea of making a theme, and then I even had. I heard different songs. Oh, what was that? There was a track that someone at work played. Can I just look for it quick?
Yeah.
It's gonna bug me. Not what is it called?
Right, through the power of editing, we will come back.
I think it's called Disco Wrecker.
Mm.
I don't really. Because I know I'll butcher it. It's like an old, almost dubsteppy 140 track. And I wanted to like incorporate different like old UK sounds.
Okay, yeah.
So I think the first one is like a jungle again, not necessarily UK, but jungle's big in the UK. I wanted so I had that PlayStation jungly. The second track is it's like they're calling it future garage now, kind of like over mono. It's like it's got the you might say the fundamentals of garage,
Right. Okay.
like 2-steppy kind of drums. So the second track, was that type of tune, still like ethereal sounding, kind of like the first one.
Yeah.
And then the third track was what I just said, like the old
PlayStation
140 about the track that I'd heard. It was like an old 140 track, and then it links in with the narrative because I called that one. I think it's like Saturn Storms or something.
Okay.
And the idea is like it's like a spaceship like flying through a storm in space, which is it's going to be chaotic. So that's why it's got those like wobbly basses and stuff like that. Yeah, I made this whole EP to round this story up. I made this whole EP. I had a narrative. I did my own mastering and stuff like that. I think I put it on SoundCloud, like privated it, and then just nothing. I've not done anything with it.
Yeah.
And that is such a common thing of making tracks. I went to the length of making an EP with a narrative.
With a whole story, a vision. It wasn't just music. It was like you saw it. It was like almost a mini movie in your head.
Yeah,
the
I
story
did.
of the EP,
I'm a very visual person. So I made this whole narrative, and then didn't do anything with it. But it's so common. I might still release it just because I have got tunes where I'm like, even though I'm taking a pause, I've got these tunes. I'm not doing anything with them. I might just put them out there.
You might even come back to them and change a few things, but I think that's also a touching base and back on the challenges as well. As someone creative, you might spend a lot of time making.
I did it again.
No. Yeah, yes.
I keep doing this thing in my hand.
No, I'll join you.
It's because I'm trying not to fidget. I've been pulling my ring off.
No, do it. I'll join you so you feel
No,
less
no,
comfortable.
no,
No,
we're not-
I'll just do
we're
my
not
own then.
doing it again.
So obviously that's a challenge as someone creative because it's almost comforting to hear. I make music too in my spare time, and it's easy to kind of, and I know a lot of people, even if it's not music, again, this isn't subject to music, but if you write books or if you're making a script or if you're doing photography, you might have this vision in your head that's so like, yes, that's mine, I love it, I'm going to work on it, and then you just don't show anyone. But that's also, it doesn't have to be a problem. Sometimes that's just personal.
Yeah, yeah.
Not everyone has to see your vision. Not everyone has to see it. Sometimes you can just make it and think, actually, I'm just going to keep that for myself. Like, I don't really want other people to. Sometimes it might be a problem where, you don't feel confident, but it's confident to hear because everyone kind of goes through that, and you're not alone in that. And anyone watching that's also creative, you're not alone in that too. I think it's just, if it is a problem of confidence, I think it's, you just have to be creative, you have to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. And even if it's something that your music isn't, meaningful and it isn't anything deep or crazy, it's still vulnerable because you've put so much effort into this and you might really like it. And it's scary to put it out there and see what other people might think. And, but it's part of the process. I think you just have to, have tough skin and fuck it. I'm just going to do it.
No,
Doesn't
you
matter
do.
what
You
people
do. You do.
That's
I
why.
mean,
Sorry,
yeah.
I was going to say that's why people say you make it for yourself, and then the people will come to you. I think that's why it's important.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
No, I was going to build on that. Like, part of that getting into music for me was I had to jump into an uncomfortable area.
Yeah.
Because the thing is as well, with even though it's fun and you do music or any creative art because you're passionate about it, a lot of people will see it and think it's not like a straightforward career. There isn't that guarantee, and people will try and steer you off that path.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even look with me, for example, like my ears and stuff. That's why I'm putting a pause on it. I've got no regrets because I did it because I wanted to pursue something that I loved. It made me happy. I have no regrets. And even like I said, I had tinnitus before. It wasn't as bad as it is now. It's very like minor, but a lot of people would probably tell you don't do that. But I don't regret it. The memories I've made, the people that I've met have made it all worth it. And I still might come back to it. I've still it's like involved in little bits through. I'm not necessarily doing the events now with Modern Function, but I'm doing the I'm helping them with the record label, and I do little bits here and there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you've got to do it because you love it. You don't do it for the money, stuff like that. If you get into music or any creative industry for money, you might
You're
as well.
in the wrong place.
Yeah, no.
At least for the beginning, anyways.
I've definitely spent or lost more than I've made. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anyway, people listening to that will, mate, that's stupid. It's like, look, when you really love something, like the way I loved music, still do love music. Like I said, with my ears and stuff, it probably is a bit stupid to go and do something that's going to maybe detriment your ear health. But mate, the people I've met and the memories I've made, I wouldn't have made if I didn't take those risks. And so it's not about money and stuff like that. It's got to be because you're passionate about it.
100%. I'm a little bit conscious of time, but I wanted to ask one big question before I start leaving it to you to spread some wisdom, which you've pretty much already done. But as you may or may not know, we're both, as we mentioned earlier, we both grew up together, technically, basically, in high school, even though we didn't talk, but it's romantic. We grew up together.
Love you, mate.
I love you too. We both from Luton, and recently Luton's gotten a lot of spotlight because of the football. We won football up the town, and so since then, obviously now we've gotten a fucking festival going on.
Yeah.
I'm really
one big weekend.
Yeah, that's the one with BBC One. So we're getting spotlight on us, and obviously, admittedly, Luton hasn't got the best reputation. It's something that a lot of people know. Even in the comments, I'm not going to lie, I was looking because I wanted to see the public's reaction to it being in Luton. A lot of people were saying negative things, but I just wanted to ask you, as a creative person from Luton, what would you like to tell the public about the art coming from Luton? I mean, fuck all the surface level shit, but all the heart and the art that's coming out of Luton. What would you like to highlight on that?
There is so much. So there's like stuff that I didn't touch on that I will briefly. Like in the time when I was talking about starting in Luton, doing the small gig from a mate, and then going to Bedford, I was also did some more gigs for what are they called? It was like a collective called Forever International, and it was you had Mac, you had Mac was like he kind of he might have been the brains behind it, the events and the group, and you had I think his name was Cocaine O'Malley, a funny name, a really cool guy. Like they were all rappers, Joel Starr, and you know it's cool to see these little pockets in these underground scenes, and I think Luton is a place where there's so much of that, and you just need the right spotlight. Things like the big weekend.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they're gonna give chances to local people and local artists. I mean, look, for example, Nath Smalls is from Luton.
Yeah.
People don't realise that, and there's talent. There is more talent like that on a smaller scale.
Even just around Luton, not specifically in there.
Yeah,
but
of
even
course.
places that surround Luton,
I mean,
there's a lot of creative people coming from there too.
Yeah, you got. I mean, Stevenage. You have SBK. Obviously Stevenage isn't far. There's so many like DJs and artists. I mean, we even had that event. I wasn't old enough to go, but it was Taste the Punch. Do you remember
that? That really rings a bell.
They did that. Was at the Carnival Arts, and they had Idris Elba DJing.
Yes, that's why I remember.
Roger Sanchez.
Yeah, crazy, right?
I think did Annie Mac maybe. Those are big names playing in, and this is before Radio 1 Big Weekend. This was
years ago. Yeah, no, I do remember that. Yeah,
years ago, playing in Luton. Not like it's crazy how people don't know about it. It's still somehow very low key, but the amount of people that have got big names are playing at this small, or not even small. This event in a small town, and no one knows about it. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm hoping as you get the attention from the brands like Radio 1, you're getting the focus from the football with Luton being in the Prem. I'm hoping it's going to start putting more eyes onto the town.
Yeah.
I get why people say it's not the best town. I mean, it's not, but most places are like that. I think that's the difference, and obviously our town just has that stigma around it.
I think also when we were talking about grime and garage coming from a raw place with raw people, I think that's also what will happen, you know, touch wood, if, you know, Luton stays, you know, in its spotlight that it is now and it keeps growing. The music and the art that's coming out of raw, because we're not a rich town. Yeah, we're near London and everything, but the people that make the art there aren't doing it for the money. Like, they're doing it because they love it.
Yeah.
And it's raw, real art that's coming out of there. So I'm really excited to see and proud to represent that and kind of see what's going to come out of there.
Yeah, 100%.
I also wanted to ask you, it's completely escaped my mind now. Really, so I have to look at my phone really quickly. But it's completely escaped me. But I'll let it off. It's my first episode, so
Yeah.
that was it. What do you want to see more of the industry? Because the creative industry, whether if you want to just focus on the music side or just as a whole, it's a double-edged sword. It's a very, very beautiful industry, but it's a very, very scary and poisonous industry at the same time. And there's no debate about that. So what would you like to see change within that industry?
I think we do support each other. A lot of people get into music for like mental health reasons. Like they use it as a chance to channel themselves, and it's a voice for them.
Of course.
Whether it's like, even if it's a guy producing a garage track or someone singing a song. There is a lot of that. There's brands like EOTT. They do the it's the UKG brand, but it's UK, G ? It's a play on. It's play on.
Oh,
the name of the
UKG.
job, but it's like,
Right.
are you okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
you
cool.
know the brands like that are doing amazing things. I'd like to see obviously more of that. It is happening a lot anyway, but more of that. And I think the whole thing about like drugs in our scene and culture, it's obviously very widely accepted, but I feel like a lot of people see that and they're like, oh yeah, I should do it because it's widely accepted. For me, I'm not someone that, obviously anyone can say this, I drink on a very, it has to be an occasional basis. Maybe when I DJ, yeah, but I'm never someone that's really understood the whole like, oh, you know, music and drugs and stuff like that. Yeah. I think the point I'm trying to make is, I want people to be able to be like, I don't have to do this just because it's a widely accepted thing in the industry.
Right.
You don't have to do that. Obviously, if you want to each to their own. Like I'm not trying to say, oh, everyone don't do it. You know what I mean? If you want to do it, do it. I've not got any problems. The amount of times I've been in rooms where like I've been the only person not doing anything,
Yeah.
and you get offered stuff on a regular basis, and then you explain to them, and people are like, oh, mate, well done, good for you, and it's like, it's good for me. It's just a normal thing. Like you can do it too, mate.
Yeah.
But you know, obviously, everyone's got their own thing going on. I just like to see people are aware that you don't have to. Mm-hmm. That's what I think the message I would try and get across. And
as an outro here, because we've only got a few seconds left, I want you to look into the camera and promote yourself. Is there anything that's coming up that you want to promote? Anything that you want to tell the people about?
Yes, I'm going to get up now. We've got so like I said, I'm still involved with Modern Function, even though I've taken a pause in music. We've got an event on the 30th of was it March? February, March? Yeah.
March.
The 30th.
You should know.
My memory is awful. The 30th of the 3rd, 24th, at the Cause. Josh Baker, Ron Obvious, Just Jam, Jeremy Sylvester, back-to-back Ella Knight, Phil De Janeiro and Benji King. And there's more support from smaller artists. Thank you very much. Come to the event if you like house music, underground like type of music, cool. And the Cause is a cool venue as well. Yeah.
Sweet. So that is going to be a wrap for the very first episode of the Freaks and Weirdos podcast. Woo! Round of applause. So what I'm going to do is, if you tune in next episode, I'm going to have some really cool people on, and thank you all for tuning in. Apart from that, I'll see you on the flippity flop. I need an outro. I haven't got one, but
nice, love that.
That's it. Thank you.
Bosh. I hope that was okay.